Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Rocco, and I am a deck dog, and I want to show you my garden. Not really. I have people who can do that for me. So, my mom's going to take you on the tour. Are you going to come with us? Probably not. Hi, hello. It is a beautiful Sunday. We just woke up, went to Tim Hortons, grabbed some coffee. I was sitting back on the deck, just enjoying the light, the breeze. I realize it's been just a little while since you guys have gotten a garden tour, and some things have changed. So I figured I would maybe record another little video. I love these for me. You'll see my shadow a lot today. The sun is just peeking out. It's a little bit past 8 o'clock. Let's bring you on the tour. Our bunny grass is coming in really, really well this year. I was a bit worried about some of them because they were being munched on, but as you can see, everyone has a couple little poofs. Some even are shooting out a bit of pollen. Struggling with a couple of my sweet peas here. I think we just had too much rain, so some of my more delicate ones got a little bit beaten up. I'm really enjoying this variety. It's a streamer variety, so I find the stalk is a little bit sturdier than the other ones I planted. You can kind of see here a bit of the difference in how thin that one is. We have quite a few sprouts still. We're not really sure where we're going to be putting everyone that's in here. We did take a couple, as you can see. In the beginning, we actually got some recommendations from some of our favorite YouTubers. And one cucumber we were really excited about were an Armenian cucumber. So that's what the first portion of those seedling cups are. Then we have some extra zucchinis. We weren't sure how ours were going to be producing. And then variety of cherry tomatoes, just because you can never have too many cherries. You saw my failed experiment with the ginger there. Not sure if that's just me being impatient or I just got a bad root. I was trying from a grocery store, so maybe I'll try one actually meant for seeding. Potatoes are popping up in our used buckets there. Lemon balm is coming in strong. Tons of bunnies, as mentioned prior. We did also visit a new shop to us, at least. It was Made in the Shade perennials. We picked up a couple things we haven't planted out yet because we're not sure where we would like them. But we were really impressed with their service. They're out in Gananoque. Pampas grass is coming in really well. I feel like in my past videos I've been saying Lumera with an M, but it's Lunera. But honestly, it doesn't really matter to me, to be honest, on pronunciation sometimes. That's why we have so many different names. Common name is Silver Dollar. These are two other ones we picked up from Made in the Shade. And my birthday pepper. Coming in hot. Well, this one's actually sweet pepper. Also, why I'm always in charge of tours? Lazy bones. I've never grown this many cherry tomatoes. And as you can see, someone is having a little bit of crowding. I haven't moved them yet though, because I love how it's just kind of hidden in there, and I'm hoping it will bring all of my bees down because we are starting to bud. These are a variety of cherry tomatoes. There's black cherry tomatoes, there are sweet millions, there are Candylands, Tiny Tims as well, I believe, in here. Could be my patio tomatoes in here. Wow. This is our pollinator garden, and let's just say she's coming in so beautiful this year. For last year, what I did was I used a butterfly mix. And this year, I tried a hummingbird mix. I put in a couple sprinkles of other things. We also worked in hosta, our raspberries from last year. We do have a few Egyptian walking onions as well. It looks very lush, but I am struggling with some of the weeds that are in here. It was a ground cover that was previously here in a garden, and it's taken over a majority of our yard. I'm not sure if it's a creeping thyme of some sort. It's the stuff you can see all over the rocks, or a creeping Charlie. It's definitely a creeper, that's for certain. My blooms are handling it pretty well though, and just kind of letting nature take its course. We do want to get in the habit, I guess, 1 year planting this to be more perennial. That's why we were looking in for more options, just because I do have a couple things. Let's zoom in. They kind of get lost. It's a chicken hen that spreads every year, but gets shaded out by all of my flowers. Look how cool this is. These are Egyptian walking onions, and they are certainly trying to escape. Too funny. Over here, what seems like a lot more tomatoes. Sorry, my phone doesn't really want to focus on anything today. It's like there is too much in the frame, girlfriend. You can see all of them. It's amazing. This one is certainly, this marigold has certainly more space. And for some reason, it's because this guy is very slow to start. But that's okay. This bed has probably changed a lot since I last showed everybody. We only replanted some of this stuff a couple days ago because things were not doing so well. We had a couple extra patio cucumbers, and I didn't have anywhere to put them, and they were looking awful. As you can see, the color's a little bit off on my phone, but they're yellowing. They were certainly lacking nutrients being in the seed cup, so I did just toss them in here to see how they would work. These are some radishes. Now, we planted these radishes in order to go to seed. We've heard a couple times that you can actually eat the pods. So that back clump is for that purpose. But this front one actually is a new variety test. It's these white icicles. And it looks to me like they are almost ready to go. So we'll be trying to find a way to incorporate those into dinner. Likewise with sprouts that weren't doing so hot, you can see we had this little tomato and it was really beaten up. I tossed it in here. I didn't do anything to it. I just wanted to see what happens. Sometimes it's just fun to see what happens in your garden without you intervening. So that's kind of what that was. One thing though I've learned is some things definitely need intervening. You'll probably notice throughout this video, I have way less broad Windsor beans, fava beans. And let's just say I am still getting overrun by ants and aphids. I just don't think I'm doing very well with these, especially without adding any additive. So originally this one was in a container and it was being very bullied. So what we did is we decided to trim off more of the tops. We tried to move it into a bed so it had more nutrients to fight. So far so good on the beans there. They're still growing. I might just grow these ones out so I have beans for next year. So far, neighborhood dogs, I tell you. So far we haven't tried any, so I'm not even really sure if we like them. But I love the blooms. I love trying new things, and that's definitely one of those trying new things. Sir. We'll wake up to bark. This section here is still just another collection of items that were on the deck. So at the front here we have some purple bush beans, and they are not doing so well, but everyone's doing better than this guy that got a little munched on. Rocco, come here. Stop barking. We're trying to show the people a video. I tell you, little dogs. Come here. Come here. He likes to hide behind things, as you can see, and just bark. Mini bell peppers are doing well. Chives are doing well. This bed was, to be honest, just leftover seedlings that we wanted to, instead of leaving a bed, we wanted to use the bed. We just did some TLC on this one. Honestly, never grown brassicas before, but certainly have those awful little green caterpillars having a munch. So we did thin out some stuff. We did rub some off as much as we could find. We did break off some old stems, and we're gonna hopefully recover some things. In here, we actually have little kohlrabi. I love how they form little like alien balls. I think it's so neat. Got some leftover parsley. We put some herbs in here that we know critters like to go after, in hopes that they go after that and not our other things. Especially because we didn't think we would get anything from these. To be honest, we forgot what labeling system we were using and didn't even know what they were. But surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah, can you see that? That is a cauliflower, which means his buddy right beside is also a cauliflower. So that would lead me to believe that these guys, although I haven't seen any signs, are either going to be broccoli or Brussels sprouts. If any of you know how to tell the difference, let me know. I don't think the bugs know the difference. We didn't do anything with the tops this year, but we did hear that you can make them into like a stewed green. Other methods you can can them into, so you're not wasting things. But we're building up our compost so we have more dirt for next year, because we definitely want to top up and build a couple more beds. I love this mixed in method that my husband did. I think it looks really beautiful. I don't know, I just think it looks really lovely having two different textures beside each other. These are carrots, and in the center there are leeks. And we're definitely not the only ones who enjoy it, because in there, there's some eggs. And we know from experience, those are ladybugs. So we'll keep those. I think the important part of gardening is learning to work in harmony with the critters that you have. I know that I was really excited for dill. And because my experience with dill has always been culinary, I was excited for pickles. I was excited for adding it to fish. First of all, I didn't realize I would love it so much with how beautiful it is. They look like fireworks to me. But I found out there are certain bugs, specifically the eastern black swallowtail, that loves dill. So this has become their sanctuary. And we've been pretty much allowing them, as you can see, to destroy what we have. And there are tons of them. So that's what they look like when they're very small and when they're very, very small. And while we're definitely going to plant more dill because we would like some for our pickles, and not all of this is being used, there are certainly a lot on it. And I would rather add more butterflies to the world than more things to my mouth, if you get what I'm saying. It's just working in harmony with nature. One thing I can say though, on this area of potatoes, we have seen 2 gypsy moth caterpillars. And if you know what they are, you know they are faux. So we have been watching these very closely. We're thinking they came in from neighbors' trees, because our trees have not had anything, and that is the method that they use. They could basically do a little twine of silk, fly in on the wing, come in from a bird, and then they'll eat everything. So we've been really lucky so far. Our foliage looks really great. We only noticed 2 that were very small. One looked like it had egg sacs. I'm not really sure when they produce like that. I don't know if it just had like a cocoon or something started. Not really sure how they work. But all of the potatoes are nice and healthy right now. I wish they were dead and dying, because that would mean we could eat more potatoes. But we've done a couple little checks, and there's definitely some size for some like baby potatoes or, you know, something of that sort. But we definitely want to try to see what the full potential is. It's just so neat. I know I mentioned before how much I love these. What I didn't realize though is my husband actually, he was the one who planted these. The purple ones that you see at the back are red potatoes. And I noticed one day, I was like, oh my goodness, we have a bunch of white ones. And he said, well, yes, because at the front, I just planted a couple white ones that were from the grocery store. So white potatoes, white flowers, red potatoes, purple flowers. How cool is that? I think it's so neat. The more you learn, right? The more you learn. This bed is kicking off too. I feel like last time I recorded, they were like little twigs. But the carrots in the center, you can practically not see any of the spacing. This basil I thought we were gonna lose has come back with a vengeance. And our onions, we just recently trimmed a couple tops off so we could use them for drying. We actually made some green onion flakes, which we've been wanting to dry some of our own herbs. And we understand that this can sometimes add more layers to the onion. So a couple of our favorite gardeners do kind of top them a little bit. So we are tried with some, and then we didn't try with others, just to kind of see what works best. Look at this light. I love all the dappling on the mulch. Almost hides all the weeds, just almost. Well, speaking of cucumbers that aren't working, those ones you saw from the first bed are the same variety as the ones that are in these pots. They're just not doing very well for me. I've tried doing one, I've tried doing multiples in, very slow growing. I'm just not sure if I have the right conditions. But all of my other cucumbers, they certainly love life. We do, well, I shouldn't say love life. We are struggling with a little bit of powdery mildew. So we have been trying to treat the plants as best as possible, get the airflow going through, and we've been trimming off ones that are not the greatest. And they seem to be pretty happy, throwing out tons of flowers and tons of fruits, tons of vines to get nice and sturdy. But certainly struggling. Not everything in gardening is perfect. I do know that you can get fungicide soaps, and you can get like different oils and whatnot. Right now, I just like trying. To be honest, I've purchased a lot of those items. I have them in my kit, but I don't like applying items that I don't completely understand without completely understanding the health concern as it is. I hope that makes sense. To me, I would just rather, I guess with plants, you can have a couple die, you can practice, you can see how they are because of the cost. It's more inexpensive, and I certainly want to transition to be able to do this and maybe sell and maybe have a larger farm, maybe do something along those lines. And practicing now when we're such small scale and we can afford the loss is very interesting to me. So I definitely know there's remedies that would fix that up real quick, but for right now, we just want to see if the natural pruning method will assist us. And so far, so good. I'm actually really impressed with these. As you can see, everybody wants to hold your hand. We lucked out with this paneling too. We actually found this at Princess Auto. So don't discredit places like that for stuff for your garden. My pepper patch is so unruly. I love it. Can't say everybody is the healthiest. I do have a bit of leaf curl. I do have a couple leaves that could probably be pruned off. Outside of planting and topping one time, we haven't done anything to these guys. They are throwing out a ton of flowers. And I have seen a couple little baby pepper sprouts. Sometimes I don't hold my breath with peppers for the first time though, because in my experience, I've had a lot of buds drop off. I've had a lot of flowers drop off. In the end, I do usually get a ton of peppers, but I know it's sometimes heartbreaking when you can see a flower that you just looked at on the ground in the soil, but I don't usually pay too much attention to my peppers like that. At least not now. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if I'm doing a bad pepper plant job. Is falling blossoms a sign of something that I can do? Haven't looked too much into that. I love this bed. We just cleaned it up a little bit last night because, as you can see, we have a little bit of things planted in between and they were getting a little shaded out. So we've been using a lot of basil. That one at the back there has also come back with a vengeance. So crazy to me that these were like two little sprouts and now they're bushing out so lovely. We're really trying a bare bones technique with our tomatoes. That's why you can see a lot of vine. I've struggled in the past with a lot of mildew on my tomatoes, and this was something that was suggested, was let it vine. Don't trim off the blossoms, but trim out all of the bottom leaves. Have your leaders go up. Trim out your suckers. So that's what we're trying with this weave system with string and using a couple lightweight bamboo sticks to try to just give them a bit of support if there's a couple of ones that are bending. And so far so good. This bed. I probably should have reviewed the video so I could be like, this is new, that's not new, this is new. You guys will notice, but I'm probably just looking at it like, you know, it's the same as last video, but I vaguely believe that maybe my last video, this was all containers. And if it was all containers, surprise, it's changed. And the reason why it's changed is I am not a container gardener. I think that I have so much space that it's so much easier to balance nutrition and water and heck, just space. That container gardening will work for some of my things, but certainly not the vegetables I had originally assumed. So in here, we've kind of pulled most things out, not everything because some stuff was slightly established. You guessed that they're probably a climbing bean, so they're a pole variety. And you can see some of them are established, and then these two, they were planted after. They're so fun. But what I am finding, you can specifically see it in the peas. When you container garden, you have less of a concentration of nutrients. It's harder for your soil to be replenished by bugs, by rain, and it's hard to leave it without intervening. So unfortunately, I found that we lost a lot of stuff that was here. A lot of our lettuce went bad. When we were pulling it out of the containers and into the compost, it was so root bound because it's been in here for a longer season than the space of that container allowed. And that's my fault. I could have put it in bigger containers. I could have put more nutrients into the ground, but I'm looking for something that is enjoyable without being super stressful and super managed. So we pulled everything out. We got some soil. We mixed it into the mulch that was in the bottom. That's why it's kind of all chunky. And then we planted some things that were around. So we had a bunch of extra seedlings because I wasn't happy with the beans that were in the containers here. So I had started some seedlings, which I've now put all along the garden. Some extra bell peppers. Armenian cucumbers we're going to put up this side here because they're a larger plant than the beans. And I don't know, we're just keeping the options open, I guess you could say. Because I really want to plant in the center there, but right now I just want to see how this takes off. Let those beans get going with all the nutrients that is available to them, because I want beans. I really want beans, and I don't have any so far that are looking good for me this year. We've had some peas, but no beans. And I'm a sad, sad girl. Oh man, this bed. I love this bed so much. Kept a couple things still in containers. Yeah, if you have them, use them. This baby though, we're getting so many cucumbers. Oh my goodness, Ashley. That's not a cucumber, that's a zucchini. We are getting so many zucchini. That is actually female, and don't worry, I already, got some pollen and wiggled it about, so hopefully that zook is gonna thicken out, let's just say. Gardens are so funny. Wow. Can we just talk about how, leaves are just beautiful? Leaves are just beautiful. Maybe not that leaf that got munched on, but those leaves are beautiful. This lettuce we definitely need to come harvest soon. We're going to be eating a lot of salads over the next week, I believe. It's certainly going to be past its prime, and I don't want it to go to seed because the lettuce has just been really great back here. I think it's because it has a little bit more shade. It's kind of a mixture. Everything's getting bullied because I put a bunch of tomatoes where they didn't have a lot of space. Finally getting some blossoms on our eggplant. Blossoms on our tomatoes. A whole bunch of weeding. We have a compost, but sometimes we toss things back here because, as you can see, the ground isn't the best. And we're trying to replenish some of the nutrients back here because this will be always grassed in, hopefully, around the trees. Prior, we just had a lot of the wood stacked here, so it killed a lot of the grass, and we'd like to rebuild it a bit. Speaking of zooks, I know, someone got munched on. But it's a surface wound, so we're gonna let it grow out, and if it's savable, it's savable. If not, it will go back into the compost. Such a crazy bed. There's no rhyme and reason for that bed. The last little stretch, guys. I always appreciate if you guys fully watch these videos. I can see when people check out. It hurts your stats a little bit. That's not what this channel is about, though. Like, I'm really trying not to focus on anything like that, because this is literally just a diary for myself, if you really think about it. Show you guys all the stuff that I really find beautiful about my garden, so I can look back at videos. This is my giant pumpkin. Isn't he handsome? These are huge. Like, very big. Something that I'm not excited about, though, is I was seeing this beautiful, beautiful reddish orange bug flying around. So I got closer and I could tell it kind of looked like a bit like a moth, or maybe a butterfly of some sort. Maybe just one of those really fancy beetles. And I, have an app that you scan and it tells you kind of what bugs they think it is. And you guessed it. Squash vine borer. I wanted to give you a minute to guess. But yeah, it's funny that you get so excited to see new things in your garden, and then you're like, wait, do I like you? Or are you pretty and an asshole? I am very excited about these. I know they're just gonna be pretty. Finally blooming, they look like little sunsets already. They got munched on, but I'm still faithful that they're gonna at least give me a couple blooms. Speaking of just a couple blooms, I was just complaining that I've gotten no beans so far. These were my original container beans, and we are getting a couple blossoms, but I don't know, I just didn't have a lot of faith in these guys. But we did get a lot of rain yesterday and last night, and well, we'll see if they glow up. That one's a little bit smaller still. That's the purple bush bean that was similar to the one that is at the front bed. That's just the one I first planted. Here we have a super, super exciting, fun bed. It's a little bit of a mess, but that is actually onion. It's not grass. A couple weeds still. Some old kale, acorn squash, my sunflowers. Hey, if you know sunflowers, they get tall. We did add some little bit of support to them because we did have some really, really rough wind. And, I would just feel so bad if they got knocked over. That little guy in the corner has no support yet because he's not tall enough to get past the line. But he has support from his friends. Look at this corn. Wow. Like, wow. Couple weeds. It's so exciting growing corn. We're already talking about trying sweet varieties next year, because of course, if you've seen the other videos, you'll know that this is glass gem corn, so it's not going to be for eating, at least not in the sense of traditional cob corn. It can be made into a popcorn, of course, but traditionally people just use it for decoration, flowers, that sort of thing. More acorn squash. This is where I saw the culprit. I did find a couple of eggs that I scraped off. Not sure if I'm seeing all of them, but only time will tell. One, I guess, benefit though is these are only ornamental. You can see a little baby in there. We're already starting to get a couple started blossoms. Nothing has bloomed yet, so I'm not sure what flowers look like, including him. Oh, it's gonna be such a beautiful pop of color in here. You can kind of actually see in there too. They look like little jesters with party hats. So these are all ornamental gourds. So it's not a food source, it's decorative. Of course, I still don't want to lose them. Likewise to the ornamental pumpkin. So I will keep checking for eggs. I will keep checking for the moths that are flying around and try to get them out of the way. But right now, I don't know the true effect. I don't know how big of an issue it is here in Kingston. I know other people have talked about it in other places. To be honest, last year my biggest enemy was cucumber beetles, and I haven't seen a single one yet this year. People also always talk about hornworms. I'm kind of sad I don't find them. I personally love them. I think they would look really, really cool. I'll take you over to see my gooseberries while we say goodbye. Please ignore the weeds on the right-hand side. Again, I wanted to say thank you to anybody who does tune in. To be honest, all I do is garden. Clean up a little bit of my house. I'm working on selling a lot of things. My husband and I are talking about our future goals and what we plan to do. And it just kind of always leads to downsizing so we can put more into our memories, more into traveling, our property, things that actually leave a legacy. And it's funny that like 10 years ago, I wanted to start a YouTube channel and I was just too shy. I didn't have the support. And now I realize just doing it for yourself, that's honestly, that's the best. I still love you guys, but I love keeping these memories just in my heart. Thanks for watching.